I can't believe I just did this, but I bought my first pallet, and yeah, a little freaked out, but it's a safe way to source, so we're gonna roll with it. Hi Foxes, and welcome back to my channel. This is Brittany from ShopFoxBURROW. I am ShopFoxBURROW on Poshmark, Instagram, and Etsy, and I wanted to sit down and share this with you. You know, just all of the thoughts that are going through my head right now. So a couple of, I think like a week and a half ago, B&G Trading sent out an email that said that they had gotten in Stitch Fix pallets. I do Stitch Fix and I do unboxings every month, and you kind of get an idea of like what I get in them. So I'm very familiar with Stitch Fix and the Stitch Fix service and the type of brands that they sell, and like the community loyalty and how to market those pieces. So this seemed like a really good opportunity for me. So usually I don't really like a surprise too much when it comes to what I'm selling in my Poshmark closet. I kind of have like an aesthetic that I go for. If I find really valuable things outside of that aesthetic, I usually end up listing them on eBay or somewhere else, just because I don't want to sort of interrupt that flow of my closet. And I feel pretty comfortable with the Stitch Fix aesthetic merging with my aesthetic, and I think that they'll go really nicely together. So I feel like this is a mystery where I'm gonna be pretty happy with the style of the items that come in. It was so expensive. This is more than I've spent on inventory at once in quite a while. Like, I've spent around $1,500 in one shopping trip before, primarily on vintage, but I've never spent the amount that this was. So this box is a pallet, and it was $2,699, and then they sent you a little coupon code for $100 off. So I paid $2,599 for this pallet plus shipping. But I get 500 pieces in the pallet. That is a lot of pieces. So I am both excited and nervous. So this is my first pallet, and I'm going to go over with you a couple of the things that are just like running through my head, things I'm worried about, and then also things that I think are going to be good. So one of the things that I am worried about is getting quantity of one particular item. These pallets are not manifested, so what that means is when you have a manifest for a pallet, you can kind of scan over it, and it's a description of what's in the pallet, so you can kind of see whether or not it's worth the value to you that they're asking for, so you can kind of see an idea of what you're going to get in the pallet. For this pallet, it is 500 pieces. It is primarily clothing, not a lot of accessories. They did say that the breakdown of brands was about 30% branded and then 70% house brand. So house brands for Stitch Fix are things like Pixley or 41 Hawthorne, Collective Concepts, things like that, which are brands that do have a following, but they're not brands like Free People or Madewell or Kate Spade, which are also sold at Stitch Fix. And then they also said that the pieces were very recent, so they're from 2019 and early 2020. So I know I'm not going to get like a bunch of cold shoulder tops from 2017. So that is all very promising, but I don't know whether or not I'm going to get, say, 30 of a top or 100 of a dress. So I'm hoping that that doesn't happen. I do think that Stitch Fix has a tendency to keep things in rotation until they kind of like sell out. I know that a lot of times I'll like go to exchange something and maybe one size is sold out. So I feel like unless they made a really bad buy, they're not going to end up with like 100 of something and then B&G putting it all into one pallet. Now, I don't know if these pallets came directly from Stitch Fix and B&G is just kind of like a middleman. So, you know, maybe Stitch Fix packed the pallets, sent them to B&G, and then B&G was like, okay, here's the pallets, we're just sending them out, you know, based on who's ordering them. If that's the case, it's possible to get some quantity. If B&G sort of got the inventory and then divided it into 500 piece pallets, I think that's less likely, because I imagine they would want to keep their customers pretty happy and not send gigantic quantities of stuff. But I mean, really, you just don't know. So that makes me nervous because it's not a manifested pallet. Another thing that makes me nervous is a lot of people getting these pallets at the same time. So obviously they showed this picture and they just had probably like 20, 30, 40 different Stitch Fix pallets. And so there is potential for the market to be flooded with a particular type of item. Now, I do have strategies to sort of combat that. When I bought the Key sunglasses bundle from B&G Trading, I did find that a lot of people had also purchased it, so there were a lot of the same styles available. But by taking my own photos and just like making them stand out from all of the stock photos, putting in like a better description, and just doing a little more legwork at the beginning, I was able to get a better value for the glasses that I did sell. So that does kind of freak me out, but it's not like terrible. And I think the last thing that was really like just kind of giving me, you know, anxiety was the future of dealing with the pallet. So B&G made it super easy to get it shipped. It's coming right to my house. Shipping was, I think, $433. It's coming in the pallet, so I will probably have them put it in my garage right off of my driveway, and then I'll sort it from there and then bring it into the house. And I do have room to store it, so that's not a problem. But processing 500 items when you're a stay-at-home mom with 2 children and your oldest one is starting remote kindergarten in September, it's like, it's definitely daunting. So I think for me, this isn't going to be some like race to the finish line of trying to process the pallet super quickly. I just need to know that this is sort of replacing sourcing for me through however long it takes me to get through it. And that does make me nervous for my own like mental health. I don't want to end up in a situation where I feel like I have too much on my plate and why did I do this to myself? And I hope that I can continue to remind myself to be like forgiving and know that this is more of like a medium to long-term investment rather than just like a quick flip. This isn't just something that I'm going to be able to turn around in a really short time period. So those are kind of my thoughts. I honestly kind of can't believe that I did this, but I talked it over with my husband. I had enough in my business checking account to go ahead and pay for it out of, you know, my business funds and not like any sort of personal funds that we have for our household. And we just really don't know what the future is going to be like with COVID. So I don't know how sourcing is going to be in the future. I tried to take my children to a thrift store with me the other day and they were both in the cart, but I turned to get something for my younger son and the next thing I know, my older son had a recorder in his mouth. So clearly taking my children to thrift stores during this like pandemic time is not a good idea. Yeah, so that's sort of it. I just wanted to kind of take you guys along with me on this pallet buying experience. So I'll kind of show you every step along the way, what it's like, just so that you can sort of get an idea from start to finish of what you would be in for if you were to buy one. If this whole process sounds interesting to you and you want to find out more about, you know, buying a pallet and just the whole shebang from start to finish, then do make sure to hit that subscribe button and also give me a thumbs up because that lets me know that you guys are interested in these videos and it just helps me when I am planning out my content for the month. And you can have fun learning something new with me. So that's really what this channel is about, is learning for reselling and just having fun. So thank you so much for watching and I'll see you next week. Bye. Bye!